One of the most disturbing problems in our world today is human trafficking, and particularly the trafficking of children. So, what a responsibility you all have to be to tell the truth. Not just to be friends. If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed all the ins and outs of this situation. But for the grace of God, Denzel Washington and Mel Gibson have been very vocal about the dark side of Hollywood. But recently, they've revealed something that has shocked the world. It's all over the internet. And now the Hollywood elite is afraid of getting completely exposed, so let's get into it and find out what Denzel and Gibson really did to become Hollywood elite's biggest nightmare amid all the Barbie and Oppenheimer buzz in the industry. There's another movie that's garnering a lot of attention, and that's Sound of Freedom. It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's gonna pass the drug trade. It's a box office hit, despite being released alongside so many massive movies. And the funny part is Hollywood tried to completely shun the Sound of Freedom, and they even demanded to boycott it. There were full-fledged campaigns against the movie, and even media personnel requested to cancel it. Reports are that a particular elite group in Hollywood didn't want the movie to be released because it talked about child trafficking, which is a touchy subject for them. Well, if you don't know it yet, Hollywood has a really dark history of exploiting and trafficking children, which is why they wanted to nip Sound of Freedom from the bud. The movie is about a security agent who comes across the dangerous world of child trafficking and decides to save these children. And as soon as the storyline of the movie went viral, the big shots in Hollywood are trying everything to give a bad name to the movie. They're raising all sorts of questions on the credibility of the movie. And so many media houses are allegedly paid to defame the creators of the film. It got to a point that the audiences realized that if Hollywood is trying to boycott and discredit this movie, it means it has got something. So when Sound of Freedom released on 4th of July, so many people turned up to watch the movie just out of curiosity. So the sabotage campaign that Hollywood's right wing was running against the movie actually ended up promoting it. The Sound of Freedom made over $170 million in the box office. And during the weekends, it even left the new rendition of Mission Impossible behind. The Hollywood elite is basically sulking now because their plans sort of backfired. And it's not new for Hollywood to defame movies and individuals that go against the secret elite group. It has previously happened to Jim Caviezel as well. Jim is playing the lead in this movie, but he has also seen the dark side of Hollywood. Back in the 2000s, Jim was all over the news, and he was the up-and-coming face of the industry. However, he was too vocal about certain things, and some groups didn't like Jim speaking so openly. Jim made a blockbuster hit with Mel Gibson back in 2004 as well. But at that time, no one spoke against the monopoly of the Hollywood elite. But this time, Denzel Washington is actually calling out all the black sheeps in the industry. Denzel isn't mincing his words and lashing out at the woke group in Hollywood elites. They've been pushing their agenda on children for years now. And when someone talks about child trafficking, they're labeled political. Sound of Freedom was initially made under the 20th Century banner. However, when Disney took over, they pushed the movie under the rug, and there was no news about its release for months. In the meantime, Disney was coming out with problematic animated movies, teaching all sorts of political stuff to even toddlers. This is something that Denzel Washington has publicly called out and has said that the Hollywood elite is so out of touch that they can't really resonate with problems of everyday people. He went on to discuss the kind of influence Hollywood's elite has on actors and artists. According to Denzel, they sometimes humiliate the artists by giving them ridiculous characters because they didn't know what I was doing. They didn't need to know. And they already know that, yeah, those who can do, those who can't talk about those who can. And this is the mentality that sways the industry. Another well-known Hollywood figure who never backs down from advocating for the rights of performers and writers is Mel Gibson. He has spoken about the film Sound of Freedom and advised viewers to see it since it illuminates the shadowy side of child trafficking that everyone wants to avoid. However, Hollywood's boycott of the film is also raising a lot of questions about their true intentions. Why would they boycott a film that is so harmless and is only raising awareness against child trafficking? Well, as it turns out, Hollywood has had a bad reputation in human trafficking from the very beginning. Mel Gibson believes that we can only counter the problem when we raise awareness about it and actually acknowledge it. The fact that so many people have denounced the covert Hollywood organization that is involved in kidnapping children and either ending their lives or using them for their personal gain is possibly the reason why this organization doesn't want anyone to see this movie at all costs. As most theaters in the nation are fully air-conditioned, recent reports that the theaters where Sound of Freedom was shown barely had any air conditioning are concerning. It may be a plot by the elites to prevent people from seeing this movie, and do you know why? Well, it's not just the kidnapping cases that are linked to Hollywood elite. There are darker things that they are allegedly doing to children, and they're afraid that people might be onto them. This strange and unsettling Hollywood A-listers like Tom Hanks, J.Lo, Oprah Winfrey, and Angelina Jolie allegedly never age like regular people because it appears that their aging has slowed down. According to a theory that contends that Hollywood doesn't just kidnap children, but also harvest a chemical from their blood that is used for eternal youth. It was even noted that during the lockdown in 2020, all the celebrities looked very disoriented and old, and that's primarily because they were having after effects of not taking adrenochrome for a while. It's believed that most Hollywood A-listers use this chemical to stay young, and they obviously need children for it. But this movie completely exposes them. People are pointing out that Mel Gibson was correct to denounce the Hollywood elites, but no one listened to him at the time because he claimed years ago that even when he entered Hollywood, he had some suspicions about what exactly was going on, and that he also accused many people of being Antichrist back in the day. His claims have resurfaced after the release of Sound of Freedom. Netizens are also pointing out that Mel Gibson is aware of something very shady about Hollywood that he wants to expose, but is unable to do so due to the threats. Mel Gibson also thinks that all Hollywood celebrities engage in dubious behavior on behalf of the elite, and this is evident in the type of animated movies that are produced. Disney is currently releasing movies. The Hollywood elite has been around for a while, and according to reports, they just ruin the careers of individuals who begin speaking out against them. There's a possibility that they try to completely boycott Denzel Washington and Mel Gibson, but these two heroes are actually fearless, and there's little to no chance that they'll stop exposing the dark side of Hollywood. So what are your thoughts about them? Some people think that they're responsible for the conservatorship of Britney and the accident of Michael Jackson. And in fact, Michael Jackson's daughter once revealed that he was allegedly very upset and afraid at the end of his life. Freedom.